My daughter was tall and skinny for her age, beginning of middle school, end of grade school, and it was really hard to find clothes that fit her because the kids' clothes were too short on her and the adult clothes she didn't fill out yet. So I was trying to find clothes for her, and I discovered a women's clothing swap, a 0 through 5. I took my daughter to this free swap, and it was like piles and piles of clothes that my daughter could actually wear. And I was so excited that I would bring her back about every other month because she was growing like a weed. She grew out of the old ones, so she'd bring her old clothes back and she'd find some new clothes. So I thought, well, I want to have some fun too. So I started bringing in my size 7s and putting them in the pile as well. And one of the ladies there held up my pants and said, "Who brought the huge pants?" And I was like, "Oh, me." And she said, "This is a 0 to 5 swap. If you want to swap your own clothes, you need to start your own swap." And I thought, well, that makes sense. So I got to thinking, well, maybe I should start my own free swap in my own size. So I started in my own home. So I was looking for people that were women's clothes from 6 to 10. And every month, people would tell their friends, and then they'd bring their friends and their family that were in that size. And the neat thing about that was you would get teenagers that were that size, and you'd get women who were in their 60s that were that size. So there always was an interesting mix of clothing to choose from. I was able to get rid of things that I'd been holding on to that maybe were given to me as gifts or that didn't quite fit my figure, even though they were my size. It was just a fun social time. Women caregiving for everybody. They're working the job, they're taking care of the house. If they have kids, they're taking care of kids. They've got a lot of responsibility. And it seems like they're the last people that take time for themselves. And so a women's clothing swap gave them the opportunity to get away from all their other responsibilities for an hour a month and come and just play, see what fits, try things on. We would bring full-length mirrors so that you could look in the mirror to see how it looked on you. And also it was nice that you could ask the opinion of other women and just say, hey, be honest, does this really look good or is it just not quite working for me? So it was a wonderful time of community building. I was doing all this by sending emails to people, and it got to be a little overwhelming. So in 2011, I started a WordPress website called swappositive.wordpress.com. And the reason I did that was I didn't want to have to spend any money on this. This was a hobby, not a business. I wanted it to be free. And that's what I liked about WordPress.com is you can build a website for free as long as it ends with .wordpress.com. So in 2011, by starting that website, I was able to start putting pages on there that explained how to start your own free swap, how to find a venue that will allow you to swap for free, how to find an organization that will pick up the items and give them away for free, and how to host your own swap so that it's the least amount of effort for you. Because that's the other thing. You don't want to put all this extra time because you'll burn out and then you won't do your swaps anymore. So after several years of doing it on my own, I kind of had worked out the bugs. And as other people would come to a swap and they'd say, well, how come you don't have a swap dealing with maternity clothes? I'd say, you get to start that. If that's your passion, then you start the swap with maternity clothes. Whatever your passion is, you can create a free swap that caters to that. Whether you do the swap monthly or whether you do it seasonally or yearly. I had a women's clothing swap and I had that every month. But I also started a December holiday gift and toy swap once a year, men and women and teenagers. I didn't want little kids there because they'd be taking all the toys and crying if they didn't get the toys and stuff. This was an opportunity for people to find things for their kids or for each other. That was the neat thing about the holiday gift and toy swap. I would have rows that would be toys. I'd have a row for books. I'd have a row for electronic. I'd have rows for different items. I think there was a row for jewelry and a row for housewares. So it was really fun. Fake trees and ornaments for Christmas. One of the bigger items one time was a telescope. Somebody brought a telescope. And of course, somebody got the telescope and was just thrilled over that. One person brought a bag of golf clubs. There would be some things that would be really expensive that people would bring because they just weren't using it, and it was giftable. And that's what the holiday gift in Toy Swap was, is it needed to be something giftable. Whereas in the spring, around Earth Day in the month of April, I would host a spring stuff swap. And that's when you could bring your household items that were not giftable, your silverware and your plates and that lampshade that didn't quite fit in your decor. I wouldn't have big furniture if there was something small. Sometimes people brought bikes to either one of those swaps or a tricycle, but it had to be something that would fit into the back seat of a car or a trunk. And then the remainders from those swaps, I would pre-arrange for a nonprofit to come at the end of the swap and pick up the remainders. And since it was only good stuff that was allowed, not junk, it was easy to donate moving forward. So that was the joy for me of the Swap Positive, because it was a positive way to swap and create community and enjoy yourself, and everybody wins. The person bringing the item, getting it out of their house, decluttering wins. The person receiving, wanting that item. There were a lot of people at free swaps that would find things they've always wanted but never thought that they should buy because it was something that was not a necessity, like Chia Pets. Those giftable items that you're thinking, I really shouldn't buy that for myself, but then you'd find it at a free swap. It was a great place to find white elephant gifts. And clothing-wise, it was a great way to try on clothes that you never would have thought you would be able to wear. One time, a woman brought a full-size fur coat. It was so beautiful. Well, it turned out it was a gift from her ex-husband, and she just didn't want it in the house anymore. And so how we decided who got to keep that fur coat, because there were several women interested, is that we put on a fashion show. And the women walked back and forth wearing the coat, and then we voted on who it looked best on. Clothing swaps are a lot of fun. If you've ever wanted to start a clothing swap in your size or your interest, or maybe you've wanted to start a book swap. Maybe books are your passion. Maybe tools or craft items. You can start a free swap. Then all this wealth comes to you and you just get to play. And everyone is going, thank you so much for doing this. And you're going, no, thank you for coming. Because the people that are bringing things are just as important as the people who are taking them. Because the goal of the free swap game is hopefully that most of the stuff finds another home. You don't want to be left with too many remainders because then it can be overwhelming for the organization that's picking them up. But it's perfect when everyone comes with a happy heart and everyone leaves enriched. And the thing is, sometimes you go to a free swap and you brought some stuff, but you really don't find anything that works for you. But that's okay, because then you just come to the next swap. And the next one, you might bring a few items and go home with a lot of stuff. You just never know with a free swap. And I guess that's part of the thrill of the chase, to be able to see what's there. Is there something there you want this time? And if there isn't, then you had a good time and you got rid of some things that you weren't using. If you're interested in learning how to do your own free swap, go to swappositive.wordpress.com/about. and learn how to do this yourself. And have some fun. Have some play. Thanks for being a part of this fun little talk today, learning about a passion of mine. And thanks for watching Barb Talks.